Hi everyone, my name is Jessica and welcome to my YouTube channel. So previously on my channel, I had uploaded a vlog about Disneyland Paris, and although that was fun to film, I realized that it doesn't answer a lot of questions, so I wanted to put together a comprehensive guide of things to do in Disneyland Paris, especially for beginners. If you want a part 2, please let me know and I will be happy to make that video for you. Look at my beautiful presentation. Okay, so first, it's important to understand a map of Disneyland Paris. Disneyland Paris consists of two parks, the Disneyland Paris Park and the Walt Disney Studio Park. The Disneyland Paris Park is very similar to Magic Kingdom or Disneyland in California. It consists of Main Street USA, Frontierland, Adventureland, Fantasyland, and Discoveryland, which is essentially Tomorrowland. Walt Disney Studios is a much smaller park. It consists of Front Lot, World Premiere Plaza, and World of Pixar. World of Pixar is essentially a mini Toy Story Land and a mini Cars Land with some additional rides like Crush Coaster. And instead of Downtown Disney or Disney Springs, we have Disney Village, which is a collection of restaurants and shops. So the map of Disneyland Paris is very similar to Disneyland in California. And one thing I really like about Disneyland Paris is that the parks are right next to each other, as well as the Disney Village. They're all walking distance. So a question you might have is, when should I go? Well, high season is from the 1st of April to the 31st of October. This means that there are going to be more guests during these times. This is partially due to the weather being nicer and the days being longer. If you're like me and you grew up in the Disney parks in the United States, don't be fooled, because Disneyland Paris is a completely different theme park in terms of weather. It gets cold here. So a lot of people don't want to go to Disney Paris during the winter because it can snow. So keep that in mind when you are booking your tickets. Of course, though, people still want to come for the Christmas spirit. Disney has Disney's Enchanted Christmas, which is similar to the Christmas parties they host in the States. They have tree lightings, parade, a musical show. So behind me, I have a chart of the ticket prices to attend in December. As I understand it, you don't need a separate ticket for the Christmas party like you do back in the US. I'm not positive though, but on the website, I couldn't find anything that talks about a specific ticket. It seems like you can just buy your ticket for that day. Of course, a ticket for Christmas is the most expensive ticket of the month. For an adult for 2 parks, one day, it would be 133 euros, and for a child, 126 euros. The week before, for an adult, it would be anywhere between 95 to 131 euros, and between 90 to 124 euros for children. So, of course, the week before would be a bit more affordable than the day of. Disneyland Paris also offers a Halloween festival, which includes a special parade, special character meet and greets, and of course, trick-or-treating. A ticket for the Halloween party on Halloween Day is 155 euros. For a child, the same ticket is 146 euros. And the week before Halloween, which actually also falls on a Friday, is 114 euros for adults and 108 euro for a child. So all the prices I'm giving you will always be 2 parks one day, because I think that is the better ticket to get. There's also the option for 1 park one day, but it's usually about a 30 euro difference. So as I've mentioned, I've been to Disneyland Paris 3 times before. I went for the first time in early October, I went for my second time early May, and most recently I went in the middle of April for spring break. October I thought was a great time to go. I went the first week of October. It was a little bit chilly, but not too bad. In fact, I was in a dress for the morning part. So I would say October is good weather, although slightly chilly at night. So one negative I would say about going in October is that despite it being Halloween season, I saw very, very little Halloween decorations. And perhaps this is because this is one of the Europe parks, and you know, Halloween in Europe is considerably different than in the States. If you are used to Halloween in Disneyland in the States, it is different, at least in early October. I feel like Disneyland in the States starts setting up the Halloween decorations well before the 1st of October. So again, it's different, but I still recommend going in October. Already on the ticket website, I could see that the first Sunday in October is 104 euros for an adult, 2 parks. I, however, cannot see the prices for April and May at the moment. So I will be telling you the prices that I paid when I went. I just went this last April for spring break. I thought the weather was great. However, it was crowded. This is the most crowded I have seen Disneyland Paris. But if you are expecting a spring break crowd like in the US, the positive is that the crowds are not that bad. The ticket prices were higher during this time. For my spring break weekend in Disneyland Paris, I paid 130 euros for 2 parks for 1 day, which is on the higher end. Last year, I went the first week of May, and similar to April, this had really good weather. It was not very crowded, and I went the first Sunday of May, which cost me about 111 euros. So perhaps the next question you have is, where should I stay? Disneyland Paris has 7 hotels. The closest one and the most extravagant one is the Disneyland Hotel. Then we have the New York Hotel, which is Marvel inspired. We have the Newport Bay Club Hotel. We have the Sequoia Lodge, which is Bambi inspired. The Cheyenne Hotel, which is Wild West inspired. You can see Woody and Jesse roaming around. And the Santa Fe Hotel, which is Cars. There's also a 7th hotel called the Davy Crocker Ranch. Is quite further. Unfortunately, there's no shuttle services from this resort to the park, so you have to have a car. It's about 15 minutes by car. The other hotels do offer shuttle services and even the partner hotels, so that's a big advantage about these hotels. Let's talk price. So I put as a hypothetical situation, at the Disneyland hotels for 2 guests 1 night, you're looking at around 1,261 euros. This is a 5-star hotel. I have been in the lobby. It's phenomenal. It's the first thing you see when you enter Disneyland Paris. It's a beautiful, big, pink hotel. It almost looks like a castle. The lobby has a castle chandelier. It's very extravagant. A 5-star hotel. Beautiful. If you can afford it, that is such a dream. They also have different suites themed to different princesses. It is unbelievable. But of course, 1 night is going to cost you over $1,000. After the Disneyland Hotel, the nearest hotel would be the New York Marble Hotel. This hotel also looks very nice, but is a little bit on the pricier side. For a more budget-friendly option, hi guys, as I'm editing this video, I'm laughing because I realized I said budget friendly for a hotel that's over 500 euros for 1 night. So forgive me, I did not mean budget friendly. However, we will discuss some actual budget friendly hotel options. This hotel is on the cheaper end of the Disneyland resorts though, so keep that in mind. I would recommend the Santa Fe Hotel, the one that is Cars themed. This for 1 night, the same dates, would be 513 euros for 2 guests 1 night. Let's talk partner hotels. I have never stayed at a Disneyland Paris hotel, but I have stayed at a partner hotel. I stayed at the Hotel Liesi. I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong. I'll write it here. And the Val d'Europe and the Apart hotels, these are the hotels that are the closest. They also have the Stay City Apart hotels, the B&B Hotel, Explorer hotels, Campanile, Val de France, and the Key Space Hotel and Spa. That hotel is a bit further, but they do have a shuttle service, and this is about 15 minutes by shuttle. Remember that these shuttle services are on a schedule, so when you are leaving the park, it is important to know that there's going to be a big group of people. You might not get on that first shuttle you want to, so another option is walking. We actually did this when we stayed at this hotel. It's about 20 minutes walking, so not bad, and a lot of people are actually walking back to the main circle. A night at this hotel, same day, October 4th, 1 night, it starts at 155 euros for 2 guests. So definitely more budget friendly if you're comparing it to some of the Disney resorts. Personally, if you're on a tight budget, I really recommend Airbnbs. We have stayed at Airbnbs twice when we've gone to Disneyland Paris, and I have had a great experience. You want to be inside this general Disney circle, and in particular, you want to be close to this red dot, which is the Val d'Europe. If you're in this area, you'll be about 20 to 30 minutes walking distance from the parks, which is great. And the neighborhood is nice, it's safe, tons of tourists, tons of friendly people. To give you a rough idea, we paid $142 US per night for 3 people at one of the Airbnbs. And the second time that we got another Airbnb, this one was smaller, I would say less nice. But for this one, we paid $94 US per day. In both of these situations, it was one bed and a sofa bed. I will say for the cheaper option, I was in a very tiny kid's bed. I honestly was okay with it, but it might be harder for some travelers. Regardless, I would say Airbnbs are a great option. To reach Disneyland Paris, it's only one stop and it's super easy to know where you're headed. There's Mickey signs all over, even from the city center. So really, taking the train to Disneyland Paris is simple. Look for the Mickey signs. If you're staying near the Val d'Europe, I would not recommend taking the train doing the one stop to Disneyland Paris because they do charge you for that. Unless you have the Navigo Weekly Pass. The Navigo Weekly Pass is a pass you get when you are in Paris for a couple of days, and this gives you unlimited rides for a week. But if not, I do recommend walking because it's about 20 to 30 minutes. Another cool thing about being next to the Val d'Europe train station is that you can get to Paris, the city, within 40 minutes to an hour. I know it might sound like a lot, but I would truly recommend staying in this area, especially if you are new to Paris. If you like a touch of Disney magic, then it's even better. Usually the Airbnbs are Disney decorated and the hotels are playing Disney music. So again, if you are in Paris, you love Disney, this is a great option. And although it might seem far from the city center, the train makes it really practical and convenient. It is a little timely, but I think that the pros outweigh that con. There's also a very big shopping center near the Val d'Europe, the train station, which is really convenient if you need medicine. There's a pharmacy, there's many restaurants, there's an Apple store in case something happens with your phone, there's a Primark, which I particularly love. And honestly, the food options are affordable, which is really shocking because they're right next to Disney. There's even an aquarium in the shopping center. This shopping center has everything, and a grocery store too if you want to make food from home. Another nice thing about this neighborhood is that it is very close to the airport. You can get to the Charles de Gaulle airport in 20 minutes approximately. You do need to pay like a special ticket, which makes you get there the faster way versus taking the metro, but again, 20 minutes. How perfect. Now, another question that you might have is, where should I eat in Disney Paris? So if you're looking at a budget-friendly meal, you're looking at approximately 17 euros. I have eaten at 3 budget-friendly, quick service type of restaurants. When I last went to Disney Paris, I ate at the Pizzeria Bella Notte, and I would recommend this place. I paid 17 euros for a Mickey-shaped pepperoni pizza with garlic bread and a soda. But I will also put on screen some other options that I ate on past trips. So here you go. If you're looking at a more luxury experience, Disney Paris also has this. Of course, they have something for everyone's budget. One restaurant that a lot of people talk great about is Walt's. It's inspired by Walt Disney, his legacy, and it's American cuisine with some European inspiration. From the outside, it's eye-catching, as well from the inside. This is a prix-fixe menu, which is 55 euros for adults. This includes a starter, a main course, and a dessert. Another option is Captain Jack's, which is essentially the Blue Bayou of Disneyland Paris. You can see this restaurant from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, which I think is so fun. Here they also have a prix-fixe menu option, which is also 55 euros, including a starter, main course, and dessert. However, something that I find interesting is that they also have starters with their own prices, main courses with their own prices, and desserts of their own prices. So I'm wondering if you can just order individual plates instead of opting for the prix-fixe menu. But anyway, I will leave a picture here of the menu. Another iconic option is Bistro Chef Remy in Disney Studios. So here we have 2 options. We have the Remy menu, which is 45 euros. This includes a starter and a main course. And we also have the Emile menu, and this includes a starter, a main course, and a dessert. For kids, we have the Little Chef menu, which is 30 euros, and this is for children's 3 to 11. This includes a starter, a main course, a dessert, and a drink. The really fun thing about this restaurant is that everything is so big because the idea is that you are rat-sized. It's inspired from the last scene in Ratatouille where you see that Remy has his own restaurant. They obviously have French food in this restaurant. Getting a reservation for any of these restaurants, of course, should be done with anticipation. The last time we went, we actually were able to get a reservation for this the same day because there was a cancellation. However, we did not choose to go to this restaurant that time because we wanted to spend more time at the parks. I feel like that's the choices you have to decide sometimes with these nicer restaurants because you don't want to rush your meal. It's an experience of itself. So you do have to weigh that in when you're evaluating your Disney trip, but hopefully next time, especially since it would be the 4th time I would go to Disneyland Paris, we'll get the chance to enjoy a nice restaurant. Let's talk about the rides. One cool thing about Disneyland Paris, of course, it has unique rides. It has the RC Racer in Toy Story Land. It has the Indiana Jones ride, which is totally different. It has like a upside down loop. They have the Alice in Wonderland Labyrinth, which is not a ride, but it's like a walkthrough experience. And they have Avengers Flight Force. So they have a lot of really fun rides. And even the rides that they do have that are the same as the parks in the United States, they're still so different. For example, Hyperspace Mountain. The Hyperspace Mountain in Disneyland Paris is such a thrill ride. It's so fun. It's truly unlike the other Space Mountain. In my short little vlog I posted, you can see some of these rides. So if you're more curious, please check that video out. That would mean a lot to me. So in comparison to the Disney parks in the United States, I find that the wait times at Disneyland Paris are less. I also think that one thing that Disneyland Paris does, which is great, is offer many single rider lines. Some of the rides with single rider are Hyperspace Mountain, Indiana Jones, Ratatouille Avengers Flight Force, RC Racers, Crush Coasters, and Web Slingers. Now, those are some really, really fun rides. So the fact that they offer single rider is awesome. I will say though, that despite single rider lines, Hyperspace Mountain and Crush Coaster are usually the same wait time for single rider and the normal queue. And one time I waited in single rider because it said it was 10 minutes less and I ended up waiting more. So for these rides specifically, I would say just jump in the normal queue. Single rider is usually not much of a difference. Definitely do single rider on Flight Force though. This ride is so fun. It's just like the Rock and Roller Coaster. I believe it's even the same track. So it's super, super similar, and usually there's no one in the single rider line, so you can just walk in and have so much fun. I personally wouldn't recommend spending money on their Fast Pass deals, just because, again, I don't find the wait times to ever be too bad. Sometimes maybe the wait times look a little bit bad, but I promise you throughout the day, they'll be better, at least in my experience. But I would wait and see, and if anything, buy maybe a Fast Pass for a particular ride. I find that Crush Coaster is constantly just a lot of line. So perhaps for that, I would buy a Fast Pass. So let's continue with some entertainment, why don't we? To be honest, I have not seen most of these shows, but I'll still let you know. They have some Broadway style shows like Mickey and the Magician, The Lion King, and Together, a Pixar musical adventure. I have heard great things about these shows, I will say, but I have not personally seen them. And they also have some different shows like Frozen and Musical Invitation, which is coming back on the 26th of July, and Stitch Live. However, I will say that the best show that you cannot miss is the fireworks show. The Disneyland Paris fireworks show is unlike anything I've ever seen. I actually think that on Disney Plus you can watch it because it's that extravagant that it deserves its own episode on Disney Plus. I don't know if they still have it, but I know I watched it back at home before I had gone to Disneyland Paris. It is insane. It's not just a fireworks show, it's also a drone show, and with a touch of World of Color because they also have fountains with lights. So the first time I went, we got to see the 30th anniversary drone show, which was awesome. But the second time that I went, I got to see what they call the Main Street Electrical Sky Parade. And this was so cool and so special. Essentially, they brought the loved Main Street Electrical Parade to the sky of Paris, and it was beautiful. It was such nostalgia. I did not know that it was the Electrical Sky Parade. It caught me by surprise when they started playing the little song. I was just so shocked. And at the end, I was like, whoa. I think I have some videos of the Electrical Sky Parade. I can make a short. If you want it, please let me know and I will post it. So again, if you take anything out of this YouTube video, it's go to the fireworks show. There's also some reserved seatings options. I don't care what you have to do, go to the fireworks show. It's not like the fireworks show back in the US. This fireworks show is incredible. It's actually, in my opinion, the highlight of Disneyland Paris. Like, this is what makes it another experience. So do yourself a favor and go to that fireworks show. So before I wrap up this video, I want to give some quick mentions, and that is characters and merchandise. In terms of characters, one thing I really liked about Disneyland Paris is that they had different characters. On the Disneyland Paris app, it has the characters that will be there that day and at one time and where you can find them, which is really helpful. For me, I'm a huge Piglet fan, so the fact that Piglet was roaming around Disneyland Paris was so fun for me. They obviously have character dining and other ways to meet characters like any other Disney park, but again, check the app because you might find some unique characters that you don't see in the States. And one thing that really surprised me about Disneyland Paris is the lack of merchandise. I feel like in terms of Disney parks, this one falls flat because I know that Tokyo Disney has some really cool merchandise too. In Disney Village, there is a World of Disney store, but it's not big at all. It's actually pretty small. It's not the big typical Disney merchandise store that I'm used to seeing in the United States. So in total, I have 3 merchandise items from Disneyland Paris. They're all sweaters. I bought 2 of them when the Paris Olympics were going on, and I believe that they put out more merch during that time. But last time I went, I didn't see as much merch as I did when it was near the Olympics. So I'm currently wearing one of my shirts, my Disney Paris shirts, and I absolutely love this shirt. One of my favorites. So don't get me wrong, there is some merchandise, but I just think when you're used to the magnitude of shopping that is Disneyland and Disney World, it was a difference. So with that, friends, I conclude my beginner's guide to Disneyland Paris. I'm sure there's information I missed. Again, I'm not an expert, but I tried my best to put a lot of research, work, and give you some of my advice into this video. So if you want a part 2, please put any questions you might have and I'll get back to you on that. Please consider subscribing. I just started my channel a couple of days ago, but I'm so excited. I grew up watching YouTube and I always wanted to have a YouTube channel. So now that it's the summer and I'm not working, I have more free time, so I'm giving this a try. So if you like my videos, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, interacting with it in any way, and potentially subscribing. I would appreciate that so much. I hope you have a wonderful day today. See you later. Bye.